And here we are live on another Friday information session about our fabulous upcoming retreat coming up on October 8th, 9th, and 10th. And I'm so delighted to be here with Miss Shelley Adelle today. Good morning. Or good afternoon for you. Where are you calling in from today?
I'm in the central time zone known as the Texas Hill Country.
Texas Hill Country. It's pretty hot.
It is hot. It's dry. We did have some rain a couple of days ago, but it's the middle of summer in Texas, so it's arid and hot. And when we get off the call, I'll be searching out my bathing suit and heading down to the river.
Got it. That sounds lovely. That sounds lovely. I just got back from the Midwest, where it rained a little there, and it was very hot and humid. And us Southern Californians are not so used to that humidity anymore. So, but it's good to be here. So Shelley and I are here today to talk about Shelley mostly, but I'll start out with telling you a little bit about our retreat. So looking forward to the group of practitioners that we have put together for this retreat in October in the mountains of Idlewild, about 2 hours away from San Diego and 2 hours away from Los Angeles, and probably 2 hours away from a few other places. It's kind of central out towards Palm Springs, beautiful pine trees. And I have to say, I think I said this the last time, every time I'm on a call with these people, I just feel the incredible spiritual groundedness and power of this group, and just feel so honored and humbled to be among them and to have them joining us. So you can get more information about the retreat at lifepurposeadvisor.com/retreat. I know that's a hard one, right? lifepurposeadvisor.com/retreat. And if you're with us at the end of this call, we'll be talking about some special things that Shelley will be doing at the retreat. But you have to listen to the end. I have said before the details of our retreat, but just to give you a couple things: 6 amazing facilitators, 2 nights traditional camping, nutritious meals and lots of good snacks, and upgraded local roasted coffee, which I'm looking forward to. 8 hours of immersive group energy work sessions, sunrise prayer, singing bowl meditation, activating the body with breath work and somatic movement, moonlight opening, drum circle, sacred gong bath and sound healing, amazing mala making, which we'll talk more about today, some other surprise creative endeavors, and a group of folks who you will not know when you arrive, but hopefully you'll leave with a whole new group of friends. So I will be here next Friday at the same time to answer questions. So you'll see that get posted. If you have questions, please leave them so that I can answer them. And with all that said, we're here to focus on Shelley today, and all the amazing wonderfulness that she's bringing to the retreat. She does so many things. She probably doesn't have enough time to tell us about all of them. But tell us a little bit about what you'll be doing at the retreat.
Thank you for having me. I listening to that list of offerings, and I would totally get out of bed in the morning to have sunrise anything, honestly. So my main offering is mala making. So I come from a yoga tradition of about 20 years, and mala basically means garland. So mala is a string essentially of prayer beads. Usually you have 108 prayer beads. Do I hear you digging yours out?
I'm making noise, yes, because I want to wear my beautiful mala that I made in upstate New York in a class that Shelley taught. Sorry.
Nice. Yes.
So, yeah, I feel better now.
Perfect. I didn't even think that I should bring an example. So, well done. So malas traditionally come in a strand of 108. The mala making workshop itself is essentially a meditative practice. So traditionally, the string of beads was commonly used by Hindus and Buddhists to keep track of the recitation of prayers or mantras. The practice in Sanskrit is known as japa or japa malas. And the practice is widely considered to be from the 3rd century. So it's a very old tradition. What I love about mala making is that you get to use the time that you're constructing your mala, in addition to the time you're actually utilizing it as a meditative tool to attune the mala to a particular energy. Traditionally, each mala only has one significance. So if you had like a prayer for abundance, that would be one mala. If you had a particular chant from your tradition or a prayer from your tradition, that would be a secondary mala. So you can imagine that I have stacks and stacks of malas over the time. What I will be bringing, all of the supplies will include hundreds of colors of beads to choose from, all of the things that you will need. So all the instructions on how to create it. We'll set it as an intentional space. You know, it is a meditation in and of itself. So I will give you more background in the moment. I'll give you examples of mantras, examples of positive affirmations, so that you can really be grounded in what is the intention of this mala as you make it. So as you string each of the beads on, you're contemplating this intention. And then traditionally, once a mala is finished, the jury's out depending on which tradition you come from, whether you meditate on your mala for 30 days or a full moon cycle up to 40 days. So we'll say at some point, 40 days or less, I'm a moon cycle kind of gal, you would do your recitation of your affirmation or your mantra on your mala for that period of time. And then the idea is that it is actually attuned to that energy and has become, part of your spiritual practice. So that's the quick overview. When it helps really to help to expand your attention span. And it also helps with that attention span leading to emotional regulation. It's one of my favorite things. And I'm a sensualist. I want to touch things. I like textures and rings, and you make them that you can actually wear it as a bracelet if you want. Or if it feels more sacred to you and you want to put it in a bag and it only comes out, when you're in your altar space or you're in your prayer or meditation space, that's fine too. It's really user-friendly in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I didn't mention earlier is Shelley's session is in the last day of our retreat. And I didn't mention the name of the retreat is the name of the retreat is unknown, awakening the capacity for wisdom and mastery. And we'll be building towards this session with Shelley all weekend with the other practitioners and activities that we'll be doing. And the reason I ask her, other than that she's fabulous, but the reason I ask her to bring and assist us with malas is the opportunity to seal the work and the energy level that you're able to get to over the weekend of the retreat in something that you can bring back with you that helps you get back to that moment and that deeper spiritual awareness and very grounded place that you should be in by the time that you get into a session with Shelley. I also wanted to mention that, as she said, I'll just take this off. When I made this mala, I chose these colors to represent heart-centered flow. And I was working on, at the time, it was 4 years ago, I believe, at really trusting my own faith and trusting the flow of life, and switching from knowing that I was the person that had to make everything happen versus that I could receive life into me. And I use this mala all the time for myself, and I'm always showing it to clients. And asking them to pursue them. And if you've been out in the world, malas have become like a pop culture thing. So if you go to an expensive day spa or you walk in Nordstrom, you'll see malas that are made of beads that cost $200 or $300. And, that's great. They're a piece of jewelry, but the intention and the power that goes into making your own is a much different experience than what you could go purchase for yourself.
That's a great point. I've always appreciated ritual in general. I'm one of those people that if I'm out walking the beach, I pick up seashells and I rub them in my fingers. Or if I'm out in the woods, I'll take some leaves home or a pine cone and set it on my altar. This craving towards like tokens and talismans to bring me back to a particular feeling in space. So if you're also wired in that way, then having, if it's just a rock in your pocket or a mala or, a particular piece of jewelry that really harkens back that energy, and you feel like I'm grounded in this space and I can hold myself in this space. It can be abundant, right? I've had people that have made malas where, they had gone through periods of, deep pain and grief, and were really ready to like be open and vulnerable and abundant, and had just like made that decision that this is the energy that I wish to walk in and through this next chapter in my life. And then every time you see this one particular mala, you're reminded of that. So it just ends up being like a little anchor. And no shade on the $300 malas, but I guarantee you the jewels don't cost that much. That's just what they're charging.
Right. So someone's making a lot of profit, and you're not getting the deep ritual and wisdom that you'll get in this experience and this amazing facilitator. So.
Well, I also appreciate that there's a version of prayer beads in so many different religions, right? Like the Catholics use the rosary, or in some of the Jewish traditions, it's knots on the rope instead of beads themselves. And I just love that there has been this craving forever to like memorialize something that is important, and to participate purposefully in one's faith or spiritual practice. And that's personally important to me, which was what led me to this work originally.
And were you going through a time in your life where you needed more anchoring and rituals? Is that what brought you to malas?
Oh yeah. I was, in my 20s in New York City, I was batshit crazy. Like living in a multicultural environment and not having like real personal authority or anchoring. And some of that certainly is age. Some of that certainly is experience. For me, it's a matter of maturity. Right. And so that led me originally to meditative and contemplative practices. I come from the Christian tradition originally. So like Thomas Merton would be someone that I would have read back in the day, and just like having spiritual prayer as part of my faith. And then I was introduced to yoga as a full practice, with all of the complications and intersections that involves over 20 years ago in New York City. And I still would go to yoga studios and be craving more. So then that led me into searching out kirtan, which is a version of, singing mantras in praise and worship style. And then I would see people that would have their malas and, would be praying over them. And, like with anything, I think if you just, try, basically, you try a bunch of it on and see what works and see where you get, where you get anchored. And if that's the place that you get anchored, then that is your connection to your higher power. It could be baking, it could be baking bread. It could be tending to your children. It can be ecstatic dance and prayer. It can be planting a garden, and this, the mala, the chanting on the mala and the meditating on the mala has just been the one that has been the most consistent for me. So it has become really potent part of my personal practice and ritual.
Right. Love that. I have mentioned on these sessions before, and those of you that work with me know that, excuse me, that one of the things that I introduce and entertain is a toolbox of things that we can all use to bring us back to our center. And when you find those things like Shelley just mentioned, like a mala that you can pull out on those days where you're feeling a little less certain, life becomes easier because the pendulum of life continues to swing. It's just a matter of, whether or not you have those processes, rituals, practices that can bring you into alignment, and your pendulum can not swing quite as widely.
Yeah. And just as a side note, if we get to the end of a weekend and there's still, if someone is still in a space of not being quite sure what the next best step is, then, you can take your mala and the intention is just to show me, right? To answer that question. We're not talking
I love that.
to like live life in broad strokes. It's just show me what the next best thing is. And that can be enough of an anchor. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So, we're getting here to our 15-minute mark, and I think it's time that we talk about what else you're going to be doing at the retreat. So,
am I doing more?
Shelley and the rest of the practitioners, but Shelley's going to be offering some one-on-one sessions, and there are only 12 spaces with her. One of the reasons that we're doing these calls is so that you can meet everyone and see who you feel attracted to. So tell us a little bit about your session, what somebody might experience if they want to do a private session with you.
Sure. The overview title would be yoga, right? I have been practicing for over 20 years and teaching teachers for about 15 of those years. And I come from a cross section of styles. So that has informed the way that I teach. So for you, yoga might mean you're craving a physical practice that you can take home. So can we create, a home-based practice that you can do for the next however long, 40 days or however long. If chanting is something that has been very attractive to you, then we can work through chanting. Almost every practice that I would teach will involve some version of a pranayama practice, which is deep breathing. And there's pranayama for all attitudes, right? If you find that you're a really high anxiety person, there are pranayama practices that can balance and center. And, if you tend to be like a really like dense and heavy personality, there are enlightening and enlivening pranayama practices, right? So it can become self-prescriptive in that way. So think things like movement, chanting, breathing practices, guided meditation practices. My background from the physical side of things is vinyasa. I've studied with Anna Forrest. I've studied with Dharma Mitra. I've studied with a plethora of New York-based, great teachers of all of the kinds. So what I would say is I teach a very integrated yoga practice. And if you come to me and say, I don't want to be in charge, I'm here for the time that we're together and I just need you to be in charge, I do have the facility and skill around to just be with you in space and, connect to your energy and connect to the higher energy, and something will, evolve and manifest from that space. If you had a particular question, right? If you've got a little seasoning behind you and you think, I really want to accomplish this set of poses, right? I'm tight in my hips and I would like to have more facility around hip openers. We can do it very, very targeted in that way, right? Absolutely. And
that's all of us, right? All of us that are sitting at home at a desk during COVID, we all need that. So
yeah. So it is meant to be a personalized, prescriptive space. I would only really need to talk, to you and with you for like 5 minutes a time. And then we can get started. And if you want more attention and skill around that, and that you're going to book a session with me, then you'll have my email. And if you want to be in conversation before we meet at the retreat, that's totally available as well.
Yeah. So great. Well, so you heard her 12 spots to spend an hour with Shelley, or 50 minutes. I think they have to be 50 minutes because of our schedule. But she'll be around with us at the retreat in other exercises. She'll be flying into San Diego just for this special weekend. So is there anything else that you want to talk about, Shelley?
Just that I'm really looking forward to gathering in space and being healthy with each other. And I'm, so grateful to be included. And I can't wait to come to California.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you.
The West Coast.
That's right. She'll be singing for us, clearly. So, well, I appreciate you taking the time out today. If anyone that's listening has any questions for either me or Shelley, just leave them where you're listening and one of us will get back to you. There's a lot of information again on the retreat website, which is lifepurposeadvisor.com/retreat. And there's some frequently asked questions and an opportunity to ask a question there. So lots of information. We're happy to answer anything. We are still in, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but we're still in early bird pricing for the retreat here, I think for another 10 days or something like that. But you'll have to go to the website and see, so don't miss that. And yeah, we hope to see you. Thank you, Shelley, so much for spending this time today. I can't wait I hope I have time to make another mala myself.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.